Hello, welcome to the DCAT 2 ONET Behavior Anchored Rating Scale discussion. I'm Dr. Leonard Matheson. Behavior Anchored Rating Scales are an important tool for 21st century occupational therapists. The ONET BAR scales allow OTs to measure up to 52 different abilities, one of which is oral comprehension, across about 10,000 different occupational titles, from telephone customer service representatives to high school science teachers to United States Supreme Court justices. In addition to cognitive abilities like oral comprehension, we can also measure psychomotor abilities like finger dexterity. The finger dexterity of a roofer can be compared to the finger dexterity required of a bicycle repair person and the finger dexterity required of an automotive service technician. The DCAT 2 allows us to compare our clients' abilities with the ability demands of these occupations with 3 work sample tests and 12 situational assessments. We can do this because the DCAT 2 is calibrated to the Occupational Information Network from the United States Department of Labor. ONET first came about in 1998 and has been updated at least annually since then. The ONET content model has 6 different major categories. We're going to be most interested in the worker characteristics category having to do with abilities. There are 52 abilities that are considered in that worker characteristics category. ONET version 26.1, published in 2021, has 873 occupational classification codes, almost 91,000 records, and 1.3 million data points, all focused on abilities. Let me give you a brief introduction. Let's take a look at the first 2 of the almost 91,000 records. This has to do with chief executives. The SOC code, Standard Occupational Classification Code, is presented. The title of the occupation is there, along with the element ID for oral comprehension, and whether we're dealing with the importance of the ability or the level of the ability. This gives us 2 sets of data. For each of them, there's a standard error of measurement, a mean score, and a 95% confidence interval. We need to be concerned about importance and level, but for now let's just focus on the level of the ability. So for chief executives, the mean score of 4.88 on the 7-point behavior anchored rating scale has been rated by 8 experts with a standard error of measurement of 0.13, which gives us a range of 4.63 to 5.12. This is based on the Flashman job analysis survey that was developed back in the 1970s to provide standardized scores along a 7-point scale with high and low anchors and representative behaviors arrayed at intermediate positions. In the FJAS, there are 52 ability scales, 21 cognitive abilities, 10 psychomotor abilities, 19 physical abilities, and 12 sensory perceptual abilities. Oral comprehension is the ability to listen and understand spoken words and sentences. It involves listening and understanding words spoken by others. Observable behaviors anchor the high point and low point and are placed at intermediate points along the 7-point scale. Initially, these data were based on job incumbents, but it turns out that trained occupational analysts do a better job. The big problem with incumbents is that they're more likely than analysts to deliberately inflate their ratings to influence policy decisions, such as those associated with compensation and training. So let's apply what we've learned so far to a case study. This is Joanna Kim, an acute care nurse who fell down the stairs at work and suffered a concussion and some musculoskeletal injuries. She came to occupational therapy. The first thing we did was to use the DCAT 2 profiler to see what the job demands are for acute care nurse. We had a pretty good idea, but we wanted to quantify it. The DCAT profiler is an Excel workbook that contains information on 9 ONET abilities across 873 standard occupational classification titles. We're going to collect information about the 9 ONET abilities that we can measure with the DCAT, including the ONET standardized score and the behavior anchored rating scale range that we've been talking about. Standardized scores are presented for both the importance of the ability and its level. The next tab in the workbook graphically displays these data. This demonstrates that both oral comprehension and problem sensitivity are of equal importance, and the latter has somewhat a higher level of ability. Wrist finger speed and manual dexterity are relatively unimportant. So if her concussion has created problems with oral comprehension, that's important. But if her musculoskeletal injuries have created problems with her wrist finger speed or manual dexterity, we don't need to be that concerned. The profiler provides us with additional information about oral comprehension. In addition to the rating scale and the definitions, it provides us with examples from other occupations. This allows us to compare Joanna's performance on the DCAT-2 with the job demands. We can rate her current performance across 5 different levels of employability, from competitive employment to unable to be employed. Other tabs in the workbook provide additional information, such as the DCAT-2 ONET abilities definitions and behavioral anchors. So thank you very much for your interest in the DCAT-2 ONET behavior anchored rating scales. I'm Len Matheson with the North American Clinical Research Consortium. Take care now.